Remember that friend you had when you were a kid who seemed like your friend, was fun to be around, said he was your friend, but always got you in trouble, like did not have your best interest in mind? This is a correlation with a certain mental process. And I see it plaguing people frequently. I see it plaguing people before awakening. As they're approaching awakening, this pointing this out, this faculty or this tendency, faculty of mind or tendency, being very helpful to start to break down that sense of the continuous, small, separate self. But I even see it in deeper realization, and it sneaks in a little bit more subtly. And I see it in regard to shadow work quite a bit. And this friend that's not so much your friend is time, the illusion of time. And when I say that it's parading as your friend, but it isn't, that's a pretty literal thing, because early on, perhaps when we're identified with thought, we live in this identified thought world, the feeling of being able to, or the release of being able to put ourselves in time, imagining a future, imagining a past, it does. It feels like a release. It feels like a relief from the moment in some way. It feels like, well, it feels like control ultimately. It feels like a kind of choice, but it feels like escape in a sense. Now, usually when we're doing it and we're identified with thought, we don't even realize that. It's just kind of the way we feel like we are. It feels like that's the way life is. But we don't realize how caught up in thought we are, how lost in thought we are, and how based on our conditioning, our internal responses are, our external responses. So in that space, it's like that friend, you don't even realize it's a separate entity. It feels like it's kind of you. It's in your mind telling you that it's you, so to speak, but you don't even notice that. It's just like a completely identified experience. Now, when that starts to break down, when we start to see that, oh, the sense of me as a separate person that becomes very uncomfortable as we approach awakening, and one of the reasons we approach awakening is it becomes uncomfortable, that sense of being separate, that sense of having to figure life out constantly and never getting it right, always having a sense of getting it wrong, being wrong, not being enough. We see, oh, that actually requires me to think about time, right? So this is a very helpful and powerful pointer early on. And we see that, wait a minute, those thoughts that tell me that I can figure something out in the future, that I have to figure out something in the future, that I need to do that to be okay, to finally feel worthy. I have to somehow escape or change the way the past is affecting me, or bringing some change to who I have been in the past into the present. All of that is based on these thought structures in regard to time, the past and future. And when we see this, it starts to feel like, oh, there's so much less to do. And we notice that presence is just here. Reality is here. It doesn't require us to construct a timescape and imagine anything about it, anything about where we're going, where we came from, what we want, what we're going to do, how we're going to get it. It's like all of a sudden you see all those thoughts are not only essentially useless, but they're very uncomfortable, very confining. It's a kind of a prison, right? That's time. And that's when we start to recognize, oh, this friend that we've been hanging around with may not be what we thought it was, right? We first have to become aware that it's there at all. But with time, you start to see that this companion of the mind, and specifically time, that's telling you, hey, psst, you can improve if you think about how to do this practice, or if you get to the future, then it'll look like this for you. It'll look like that. Won't that be great? Let's think about how we can get there, right? And you just get sort of entangled in that illusion of future, the illusion of time. And often we feel similarly with past, like if we can sort of fight the stream of causation that brings us from the past into the present somehow, like we can change who we are, imagining who we are through thoughts, right? This mental version of ourselves, and then we can change and modify that somehow to become the right person in the present, to become worthy. Same thing. It's just this kid telling you he's your friend, but he's not your friend. That's, kind of a simple analogy, I suppose, but the more clearly we see this, the more clearly we see that imagining past, future, self and other, control, separation, agency based on separation. The more we imagine all of this, the more we just feel uncomfortable, the more we suffer. And the second thing we realize about this is not only that it's uncomfortable, but we see its mechanism. And its mechanism is to avoid feeling sensations right now. And sometimes it's to avoid feeling really intense sensations, like kind of massive resistance patterns or intense repressed emotions like fear, anger, hatred, shame, things like that. But other times it's kind of functioning to resist these more subtle things, like just a sensation in your chest, a sensation in your neck, right? To somehow dodge the fact that that's there and convince us that we don't have to feel it. But that's not the story we're telling ourselves. We're telling ourselves some complex story about the future and worthiness and all this, but ultimately we're just trying to not feel something. And that comes in later realization, this clarity that the whole game of thought, future, past, present, future, doership, agency, separation, that whole game is really about avoiding immediate experience somehow. And it's kind of a conundrum, right? Or it's kind of an irony, I suppose, in that early on in practice, early on in realization, we often take up an interest in mindfulness. We want to be more present, but we don't always realize what we're getting ourselves into, right? Because to really get to that place of living presence, living directly in the senses, we're going to go through a lot of shadow, right? And that's what I'm talking about. It's essentially breaking the spell of time, breaking the spell of thought identification, and feeling the intensity of being alive. And then realizing with time that we have the bandwidth and capacity to feel far more than we used to think we did when we would get all up in our head about all kinds of things, right? Including shadow work. Like sometimes even shadow work can become a very heady, partially dissociative ongoing process. But deep shadow work, direct shadow work is actually very simple. It doesn't take long. It's about fully surrendering, getting out of your head, getting out of your story, your narrative, your past, present, and future, and really dropping deeply into a felt experience. And that really starts to make this whole thing more clear. Makes it much more simple. Makes it much more accessible presence. And it makes it much more easy to see clearly the effect of time and to tell the kid, hey, we can't play together anymore. My parents are telling me that you're getting me in trouble. But yeah, that whole time illusion, at some point you see like it's never worth it. It never pays off. No matter what it tells you it's doing, it's essentially always tightening the noose or tightening the screws or adding mirrors to the house of mirrors. It's just not helpful. And you don't need it. Presence is all you need. Here and now. Felt, seen, heard, tasted, smelled. Fluctuating consciousness. All that. That's all that's needed. You don't have to go into the future and past and figure all this stuff out. You don't have to arrange your life this way or that way. Simple choices will come. They'll be made. They're easy. No big deal. They happen in presence. But the conceptualization, the dissociation, the judgment, the endless analysis, the on and on, control, on and on and on, that will subside at some point. You'll just see it's never worth it. Never pays off.